Delroy, you know, we started the reggae exhibition a couple of years ago, about 8 years ago. And to be honest, when I started, you knew a lot about the exhibition itself. And you gave me so many help to get it off the ground, yes. But there's something I'd like to get from you regarding reggae music, of your journey within the music industry all over the world, because as a young man growing up, I saw you on TV, and it gave me a whole heap of upliftment. And many more people in the community at the time saw you on TV in the early 60s. And Delroy Washington was a big name to the black community in the UK, yes. And I'd like to know a little bit how you started your musical journey in Jamaica and where you're reaching now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I have to say about the reggae exhibition, but I'm very pleased to see, you know, how far and how wide, you understand, this whole thing has grown, you understand, over the years, because, you know, sometimes, you know, we start off these things as an idea. You don't have no money, but you have the drive and you have the inspiration that you want to start this thing. And I'm a man that's always encouraged and want to, let's do it, let's get on with it. And I'm just so pleased to see how big it's become. It's just like seeing Bob Marley start from the nothing and go into this megalith, right? And that's what the reggae exhibition come like.
But it was a big help to you there, right? I remember I came to you and your website that you had, I had a little write-up, you know, and I mentioned I've done my research in reggae music from up Midlands right down, and I haven't found no company, and no one that I could work with. But the only person I found that I could work with was Delroy Washington. And if you check some of what I wrote up online, you're there. Mm-hmm. Because the insight that you gave me from them time, you're always positive. I came to workshop that you kept, and the people that came from Manchester, Leeds, Sheffield, Nottingham, London, and everyone that came to your place go away with a belly full of music, knowledge.
Yeah, man.
So continue and fill us up, man, and tell us more about your dreams, you know, your aspiration in this music journey.
Well, like I said, boy, it's a very strange story that my aunt Rena used to tell people, because she said I started to sing before I could talk. And everybody found it strange that a child started singing before he could talk. So that's a very peculiar story that she used to tell people, that I could sing before I could talk. I started singing before I was talking. I was singing before I was talking. So you must know where that journey come from, because from way back in a place called Glasgow Road in Westmoreland. Like I said, my mother was a great singer. Well, all of my people them sing, to be quite honest. My auntie, them, everybody, they sang naturally. You know what I'm saying? My Aunt Rena's a good singer. My mum was Ethlyn, she's another good singer. I grew up amongst music, and our people used to love music. You know, it sounds a bit cliched, but my musical development happened within the church system. My grandfather was a preacher. I'm going to say a minister, but a preacher. He was also a businessman, because I grew up and see my grandfather have like 2 shops, right? And I saw him, you know, look like he had things like farm and things like that. He used to do them kind of things there, and he was a leader within his community. And I think the strength of his power showed when he died. People came from all over the place, from America, Canada, all about, Cayman Islands, all about, to come to his funeral in Westmoreland. So, like I said, that was where the whole thing started. And I must add, people are going to say it sounds a bit fairy story-ish, but Peter Tosh was there as well. Peter Tosh was somebody who literally used to live in my grandfather's house, because he and my Uncle Man were like this. They were like...
That's a very good one, because
you know
I didn't know you had such a close...
Yeah, man, I had a link with Peter. This is a long time before any Wailers.
Yeah. What?
You know what I'm saying? So Peter used to carry me to school.
Tell it as it is. We have to tell it as it is. You know?
Yeah, man.
The world will understand what one should tell them.
Yeah. So I used to go to a school called Cashewalk School in Grange Hill. And Peter used to have his ladies' wheel bicycle. He used to put me on on the handlebar, and every morning Peter would carry me to school. You understand, Cashua, and then ride back to Manning's High School where he and my uncle attended school. Manning's High School was a famous school in West London at the time. So, like I said, Peter was there, and it sounds, like I said, very fairy stories, because another person who was highly influential in my career is a man called Bob Andy. Yeah?
Okay.
Otherwise known as Keith Anderson, who is also from that part of, Jamaica.
Very good writer, Bob Andy. Very, very good writer.
Highly intellectual brother, man. He's one of the greatest reggae people I know of. I know we talk about Bob all the time, but Bob is a man that writes some really highly intellectual
When Bob done
songs.
Young, Gifted and Black, the whole people, all of us here in England,
Yeah.
gravitate onto that. So
Yeah.
from
But
then-
Bob was doing some great songs before Young, Gifted and Black, some absolutely brilliant songs, lyrically brilliant songs. You know what I'm saying? I've got to go back home. You listen to the lyrics. You understand? They're just, I remember, this is Jamaica we're talking about. That's why I said that people talk about reggae as though it's some kind of second class citizen to like R&B. Well, all of us, like myself, I grew up as an R&B singer. I started out singing R&B, but later, like most people, gravitated to reggae because it was Jamaican, and we're all very patriotic. So at the end of the day, like I said, we call it reggae now, but we want to look at Jamaican R&B, which is otherwise known as the blues beat.
Yes.
This is from them time 1950s. Them time I was just a little toddler, right? But we're looking at the blues beat. People don't call it blue beat, but it was actually known as a blues beat because it was based off the American 12-bar blues. Yeah, so that was the blues beat. So it had that blues flavor to it. You understand? And this music was kind of pioneered by a man called Roscoe Garden. Roscoe Garden is probably the first influence.
It was on a radio station, a DJ. So
No.
It wasn't.
Roscoe Garden is an American rhythm and blues singer.
Okay.
You're talking about Emperor Roscoe, right? So Roscoe Gordon, when the early first traces you're gonna hear of blues beat or blue beat, as it became known here in England, was an artist called Roscoe Gordon. Anybody want to find this out, go check it out. You can Google it, or you can go on YouTube. You can find Roscoe Gordon, and you will hear that what I'm saying is not, conjecture. It's real thing, because I'm a man that research this thing. I research the music. I love doing research. Not just music, but all kind of things. And a lot of people will talk about the African influence in reggae, but my argument is, well, we are the Africans that create the music. It's not like, say, this music came with us from somewhere. We are the African people in Jamaica, the African Jamaicans that create this music. So this is a unique music created by African Jamaicans in Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? And obviously there are other influences, but we had the main influence. You know what I'm saying? So from that perspective, like I said, America's always played a critical role in our development, and vice versa.
You just said something just now, I think my friend Rick Duncan, he always saying the music that came to Jamaica, it came off the plantation in America, the slave plantation.
Well, my thing is, I think it's not, because remember, we had slave plantations in Jamaica. So from my perspective, wherever we had slaves, there was music, because one of the ways that the African, because I don't like calling ourselves slaves, we became slaves. They made us into slaves, right? As African people in the Caribbean and in America, yeah, we sang because that was a way of
A spiritual journey.
eliminating the pain that people were going through. So singing and music was a liberating spiritual force.
Well, we had the drum long time before we have any other instrument.
Right. So drum was first. Heart is first drum. You know what I'm saying? And naturally, as a spiritual people who are people of the heart, yeah, we dance to the rhythm of the drum before anything else. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, as Africans, I don't like isolating ourselves and talking about, oh, we're Africans, oh, the music came from. No, we are the Africans that created the music in Jamaica. I'd rather put it that way than to say, oh, we cut this thing from Africa. We are Africa, if you're going to look at it from a certain perspective. So at the end of the day, for us, when we talk about the music, I don't see ourselves isolating ourselves. That you have one Africa over there, so you have another Africa over here. So no,
we got the music inside of us.
Right. But we are the people that traveled with the music, and what we created in Jamaica and the Caribbean is like the evolution of things that we had in us from Africa, fused with other things that we discovered, some of the European links and some of the Indian type links and Chinese links, because like I said, a lot of people.
Many we are one.
Out of many one people, so that's the Jamaican. But I always like to make people no, when you say Jamaican, we're not just Jamaicans, we're African Jamaicans. And that's very important for us to get that right, because at the end of the day, we talk about Africa as if some other kind of culture. And yet we know that you have Chinese Jamaicans, you have Indian Jamaicans, and you have Syrian Jamaicans, and you have European Jamaicans. So what Jamaicans are we? We're the African Jamaicans. A lot of people don't want to associate with Africa because it seemed to be a kind of uncivilized place. But yet Africa is the continent that gave the whole world civilization. And it's very important for us to look at this civilization in terms of where we're coming from with the music. Because the music is the greatest art. It's the greatest form of mathematics. Yeah? The highest form of mathematics.
At that young age, yes. In the Caribbean and Jamaica, most of us used to go to church and start our singing in churches.
That's right.
So did you have a musical journey through the church as well before you arrived in England?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, the first money I earned was singing on some Pepsi Cola.
Really?
Pepsi Cola boxes, right? Because everybody used to want me to sing. So every time I used to go on these little box crates and start singing, they would give me a thing, them call it quatty. It was a penny halfpenny, right? Okay. So I'm always getting these, everybody's always giving me money, so that was like a great incentive to sing. I remember the first time I went to sing on stage, though, yeah, again up Glasgow Road at church, but I was overwhelmed because as a tiny little tot, I was there looking at all these people around, and I'm on this thing. I didn't know what I was doing up there, really and truly.
So you could give Delroy Wilson problem then.
Huh?
If Delroy Wilson start very young.
Yeah, man.
But it seemed like you start very young as well.
I must have only been about maybe 4 or 5.
Maybe younger than that.
To be quite honest. Yeah, I mean, like I said, possibly if I stayed in Jamaica, because I was always singing like I said, before I came to England, I was living in Trenchtown. So it's gonna sound a bit cliche, but yes, I lived in Trenchtown. It's not a joke, right? My aunt Della and people like Peter Toshi, although he's no longer here, because Peter had actually moved from Westmoreland, to Trenchtown.
Okay.
As a young person he went to attend school there, but like I said, he ended up dealing with more with music.
At that age, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you leave Jamaica, you come to England in the early 60s, yes?
Yeah, and came to England in the early 60s as a child, and
tell us a little bit about your schooling in England and your sport field that you go through, because a lot of us in England, a young child, there was a lot of sport field all over the place that we could be able to do sports as well. And why they were moving to sport, you still consist that you want to be a musician, yes?
Yeah, I mean, I was really into sport because I mean, everybody around Halton here and Needs and around the area know me as a kid that taught everybody to play basketball. Wow. Right? I was the only kid that played basketball around the area, right? So everybody at school, my middle name was basketball. Because they were used to be similar to basketball or something to do with basketball. So, I was really, really into sport. I was also 100 meter and 200 meter sprinter. I was also champion javelin, well, track and field star at school. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, music is something that was always around the house. Because like I said, came to England, and when I came to England, bam, shock. England was a culture shock for me, to be quite honest, because where I lived in Jamaica was like paradise. I mean, we lived in a nice house. So, I'm not gonna harp on about being a ghetto kid, because I grew up I came from rural Jamaica, and I know that my grandfather had a nice proper house, right? And we used to have nice proper food and proper manners on these kind of things. But my grandfather was somebody who was aspirational. And if you look at certain other people in my family, you'll see that these people are people of means. You know what I'm saying? Although you come to England and went through some hard time, they worked their way up from...
Did your grandfather come to England as well?
No, my grandfather he was more into America, I think.
Okay.
Right.
So when you arrived in England here, who did you come here with?
I came with my father, actually. I came with my father, and I lived with my aunt, my aunt Rena, she was the one that grew me up. And I lived with her and her husband, Uncle Duncan, as he was known, who was a musician, funny enough.
You had so many musicians in your family.
Yeah, man. He was a musician. Everybody used to ask him to come and play at their weddings and things like that. And he was also, everybody around here know him as the master of ceremonies. Okay. Because he was the one that anytime people have their wedding, he's always busting some big words and things like that. But they
know the meaning of them or what.
Yeah, it was kind of good. So they used to hire him to come and be the master of ceremonies. But also he used to play piano and the organ as well. So again, he was somebody who really wanted to be a top singer, a musician. You know what I'm saying? And he's a fairly decent musician. I mean, he likes to tell people that he was the one that taught me music, but I'd beg to differ. Right? Because it was the Wailers that really started to show me how to play music. Family man, and a man called Ronnie Bop. Yeah, Ronnie Bop was a Jamaican session guitarist, who was a contemporary of the great Hux Brown. You know what I'm saying?
But at them time, was it in England the Wailers came, you and the Wailers become very close, or was it in Jamaica?
No, well...
When you went back to visit Jamaica or what?
No, the Wailers... Well, if we look at... I was just going to go through a little bit of history where I came up. Because like I said, the house was full of music because sound system was in the house. So people like Daddy Ernie, again, was my bosom brethren growing up, because Ernie was like a cousin by marriage and things. So he and him, his brother Deanie and Marlene and all these other people. And if we look at him, people like not Bubblers, man. If we look at some of the man them from the local area who became top musicians in reggae, a lot of these people,
is that the Cimarrons them or?
Well, even before Cimarrons, Cimarrons were like another great influence to me. But I was talking about some of the other man them, Bubblers and some of these people, and I'm forgetting some of the names. Clifton, Bigger Morrison. Because Clifton's father used to move with Tarzan. As a matter of fact, they used to be neighbors. So Clifton's father was somebody who used to move around the sound system as well. You understand? And Clifton now, a great musician, as one of my best brethren. Yeah. Again, all of these people, we all kind of knew each other, but we didn't know each other, if you understand what I'm saying, because we didn't know what we were going to become. We might have known each other growing up, but some of us moved to Harlesden like I did. And again, all people used to use sound system, you understand, to make some money and then eventually buy some house and things like that, to keep blues down.
So the sound system for the blues dance days.
Yeah. So it was, I can say it was sound system that helped my people buy their house. Yeah. First house at Brownlow Road in Harlesden here, 33 Brownlow Road. I can remember where we used to have dance at Brownlow Road. People never used to like it because I think it might have been a culture shock. Must have been really frightening for some white folks hearing this thunderous business coming out of the you understand, the house. You understand? And when I looked at it, I looked back at it, I think to myself, bloody hell, I have a big old wardrobe, sound system, boxes in every room. It must have really been a shock for white folks. Who made
noise that was coming
the noise.
from that sound there. Because
Yeah.
I remember I was trying to interview Saxon, Dennis Rowe mother, and she said to me one day, she said, you know something? When the boy them started and them chop up our wardrobe to make speaker box.
Yeah.
And
Really.
she have to get cross with them and said, you know something? I'm coming to the dance tonight. And she went to the dance and hold the gate.
And make sure she get back
Get
her
back
money.
her
for
money.
the-
And then she
for the-
realized people coming in here.
Yeah.
The following dance, she started to hold the bar and cook the food and bring other people in. And from there, so that's great sound system, Saxon. Came up onto
There you go.
you know.
And all of us have a very similar story. And this is what's so unique about us in this country.
Yes,
Because
yes,
sometimes we can't. I mean, there are other people, with all due respect to some of my African brothers and sisters from the continent.
We didn't have much,
Yeah,
but we used what we had.
that's right. But people,
That was most
other people
important.
used to be scared because they say these Jamaicans, they're going to get us in trouble, right? Because we had to be crazy to be doing stuff like we were doing, stringing up sound system with those big old heavy duty amplifiers and those big old heavy duty boxes and just playing like we were crazy.
I think it was crazy because we loved the blues dance so much. We used to travel from east, west, north, and south to find the blues dance.
Well, I mean, remember me and you, like we was talking about earlier, like we walked from Roaring Twenties, you know, in Carnaby Street to Nightingale,
yes,
right,
yes,
and then leave from Nightingale,
go to Chicken
go
Dance.
to Chicken the Thunderstorm dance in Tottenham.
Because we weren't driving.
We weren't driving, legging it, or get a lift from a break here and there. You know what I'm saying? So this is something when we look at this progression in this country, some people take it lightly, and one reason they take it lightly because they don't understand. They don't understand the journey. They just do not understand the journey because it's like we used to support sound systems, like how English folks support football, their football teams. These are sound system people who support their sound system.
It was.
And then eventually had things like Sound Clash, right? And things like these, right? With literally man a clash and man go out fight over certain things. You understand? So some people looking back, they think, it was look at music and things. But look where reggae music or Jamaican popular music has come from, and we travel the four corners of the world. You know, give thanks to my brother Bob Marley. You understand, and the Wheelers. You understand,
Bob Marley and the Wheelers.
the great-
When Bob came to England, yes, as a young man, how did you manage to meet up Bob? Although you was an artist signed to a major label before Bob.
Well, I don't say I was signed major labels for Bob. Bob had a very influential, you understand, impact on my life. What happened was that Bob, I was actually moving with other musicians before Bob, including people like Lottie Pioneers, the Pioneers, who had big hits with like Long Shot, Kick the Bucket. I mean, truth be told, those are the first set of people that started to take me seriously. Lottie Pioneers, Sidney Crooks as his name is. You understand? So I used to move with Pioneers. Bob Andy came along, moved with Bob, and Bob was like, Bob Andy was another major, mega. Even up until today, I can't even talk about Bob Andy enough. You understand? Because Bob was otherworldly. That's Bob Andy. He was otherworldly. It's a man that was his intellect for me as a young person coming up at the time. I was so glad to meet a countryman of mine, right, that had such deep understanding about life. And yet he was a young person himself, and although to me he was a bigger brother, you understand, but Bob Andy for me was just intellectually brilliant. And pre-Bob Marley was Bob Andy, Pioneers, and then there was people, I'm not going to leave out people like Denzel Dennis, who was another, Denzel was like a UK reggae singer, reggae artist. But Denzel was, he had a group called the Classics. They invited me to come and sing with the Classics, and we had, the Classics had a big hit called History of Africa. You understand? Back in the day, and I kind of jumped in on that bandwagon, you know. as a member of the Classics. So and then we Classics used to rehearse in Brixton. Remember, I just named to leave school good, right? And I'm in there going to Brixton, bunking the train, right?
Just to reach it.
Just to reach there to get a rehearsal with a band. Way up in Brixton. Who do I meet in Brixton? Man that became known as Ija Man.
Okay.
They used to call him Youth them times here. Bad boy, rude boy, youth, right? And these are the people that I moved around. And then, you know, obviously there's people like Dimples Hines, who Dimples, great brother, elder like an uncle to me. You know, funny enough, his daughter Donna said to me one time, she's asking her dad, said, boy, Delroy's been around, you know. He said, God, you must have known him from. No, cut a long story short, she just said she was asking him if, you know, how I look so young. I mean, them is a say. So Dimples was telling them, say, yeah, Dimples telling her that no, Delroy is a young boy for we, man. It's just that he always used to be around us. Anywhere the music is, he's following the music. So that's great, Dimples Hines, and like I said, give credit to him and his cousin Sonny Roberts, who, like I said, Sonny.
That is what I was going to ask you about Sonny Roberts. A lot of people don't mention Sonny, but the work that Sonny done over the years, like we totally forget about him.